I want to take a quick look at what's going on in Brazil, because I think this is the future someday soon of America. We have a former Brazilian president today was sentenced to over 9 years in prison for corruption, for money laundering, for bribe taking. He was found guilty today. And it was just last August that his handpicked successor, he was president of Brazil from 2003 to 2011. His handpicked successor, Rousseff, was impeached last August. And prior to that, the previous November, she had won election with crooked voting machines. So the corruption that we see in Brazil is tremendous. And as we see these people finally going to jail, some people are angry, I think, at the Brazilian president that's there. He may be corrupt. I'm not sure. I'm not up to date on the internal Brazilian politics or the parties that are there. But the current president is also facing trial charges over corruption, but he was able to shut it down. They did not get the votes necessary to bring him up on corruption charges. But going back to the lady who was impeached last August, Rousseff, when she was elected, she was very unpopular. She was a hardcore socialist. These corrupt parties, like our Democrats, are socialists. And she had tanked the economy. She was very unpopular. She was down 10 points in the polls. She was booed at soccer games of 60,000 people in attendance. And then the day of the election, she won by 10 points. And the people who normally did the exit polling, which is the gold standard for seeing if there is massive corruption. So from being down 10 points the day before, she wins by 10 points the day of the election. And there's no exit polling. There's one organization that does it, very similar to the United States here, where we have one polling organization. You notice that when they do exit polls in the United States, they never give you totals. They never come in and say, well, the actual vote total in this area for this candidate was this, and this is what the exit polls told us. No, they give us demographic cross-tabulation, so we can't see that information. It's hidden from us by the one organization that does it. And so they tell us how many women voted for a particular candidate, or how many of this particular ethnic group voted for which candidate. But they don't give us the grand total so that we can look at whether or not there's corruption. And, of course, that's what the State Department in the United States uses to look at corruption in other elections. Why is this important to us? Because we use the same electronic voting machines. In many cases, the electronic voting machines were created first in Venezuela by Hugo Chavez. Smartmatic began that way, and they've changed their names a number of times. That's why we're very concerned in places like Texas, where we have the Department of Elections shutting down the legal and constitutional requirements to have an image of the ballot, to have numbers on the ballot so that we can audit the election. That's the way these kinds of crooked people get in. And when we see what is happening there, the kind of blowback that is happening, again, this guy may be corrupt. I don't know. The current president, Michael Timmer, may be corrupt, or it may be blowback, as we would expect to see here in the United States if we ever have a Justice Department that gets serious about coming after these corrupt Democrats who have corrupted our law enforcement, the FBI, the NSA, and our intelligence agencies, to use them as political operatives, to use them as Watergate burglars. That's what needs to be shut down. And if we do, we're going to have a war just like they're going on in Brazil right now to get rid of the corruption.